Good evening and welcome to Education Number One Priority. I'm Dr. Mary Jane Garza. Well, as you know, small business is no longer small business. It is a driving force of our economy. 80% of our jobs have been created by small business. This evening, I have the pleasure of welcoming Yolanda Garcia Olivarez, a native of Corpus Christi who currently serves as the Regional Administrator for SBA in Region 6, located in Dallas, Texas. She serves over 5 states, about 3.2 million small businesses, and that particular agency has awarded to this particular region billions of dollars. Today we'll visit about all the programs that are available, how you, the consumer, who may be thinking about, what do I need to do, could possibly venture in to small business. Welcome to Education Number One Priority. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Garza. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, before we begin talking about any of this, I was reading your biography. So impressive.
How are you much too kind?
No, so impressive. You need to share with our listening audience, and I share that with you because we have a lot of young people that listen, and I think they would learn from your background what you've done to be able to attain this position. So tell us about Yolanda Garcia Olivarez.
Well, basically, the line item is very simple. I just helped others. I volunteered in various organizations here in Corpus Christi and in South Texas, and that I was very highly rewarded by every time I volunteered for whatever board was asked of me. I just grew as a person and grew as a business person, and I got very well connected to a lot of different community leaders, and you know, the aspect of just serving South Texas was phenomenal for several years for me. But then what made it interesting is, why not do this across the country? And so that's how I sought out the position of the Regional Administrator for SBA.
Well, I know that your background included working for banking industries.
It did. I worked for various banks, Nations Banks, Wells Fargo, Corpus Christi National Bank, and you know, Corpus Christi National Bank was a community bank, and I grew up there, and I was very fortunate that the board members of that bank were people like Richard King, John Garner. They're long gone. They don't live now, but they were true leaders of our community, and I learned from them.
All right. Then you also, and I know you were very modest about it, but served on the Port Commission.
I did.
And you were also the first woman to be named the chair of that commission. Is that not correct?
It is. It is correct. And I also grew in that position as well, and was very fortunate that I had a lot of people that believed in me and appointed me to that position for various years. The county commissioners, people like Richard Borcher, Oscar Ortiz, Betty Jean Longoria, Peggy Bañales, and serving on the port was extremely gratifying. And it truly, the Port Authority of Corpus Christi has a real pulse on this community.
It's also driving the economy here as well. And I know during your tenure, you visited several countries. Spain,
I did.
I know. Well,
I did.
I think I read about 4 different countries. You may have gone to others that I'm not aware of.
I did. I went to China, Taiwan, Japan, Spain, Paris. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. You know, port authorities, they do business and they think global. And this really has helped me in my job as the regional administrator, because now this administration is very focused on helping small businesses and supporting them on a global setting. We have to push our small businesses and encourage them not to think just about their local market, but to think global, because 95% of the consumer power that is purchased in the United States, but across the global area, is outside of this perspective. So small businesses need to promote their products and services.
Well, I think your background, banking, commercial, small business, port commissioner, visited other countries to be able to sort of encourage our city to engage in the international market, really qualifies you for the position of the regional administrator. Now you oversee 5 different states, is that correct?
I do.
Which states are those?
It's Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and of course the great state of Texas.
Of course, the great state of Texas. You serve over about 3.2 million small businesses, and that's only in these 5 states, right?
Right, but it's actually 3.3 million, so I can't leave out those 100,000.
Right.
But it is 3.3 million small businesses that we have a consensus that consist of those 5 states. And with how we service them, it's very interesting, Dr. Garza, because we have 10 district offices. So actually my region is the largest region in the country as far as district offices.
So how many regions are there? I know there's 6 because of that, but are there 8, 9, 10? How many?
That's a really good question. We have 10.
Okay.
We have 10 district offices, 10 regional offices. So there's 10 regional administrators that are appointed by the president. And people usually say, oh, well, so is your home in Washington? What the president likes is he likes for regional administrators to serve in their prospective areas. And it's easy to travel, and you stay more focused on those 5 states. And just to give you a perspective, there's regional administrators for almost every federal agency, for HUD, for the Department of Labor, the Department of Commerce, HHS. And what helps us is we're all in Dallas representing the Region 6, which is the South Central region of the 6 states. So we all have the same thing in common, Dr. Garza, where we're all serving the same people. So we interact a lot, and it's worked extremely well.
Well, so you're the regional administrator. You have people that work alongside you. What is your main goal as the regional administrator? What is it that your job entails?
My goal as a regional administrator, I wear a lot of different hats, but the main focus is to be a champion for small businesses in my region, to make sure that whatever affects them, that I'm engaged in that process. And my focus is to make sure that I support them and educate them and encourage them and make sure that they have all the tools they need to grow and create more jobs.
Well, basically the research shows that our economy has strengthened because of small business. They've created the jobs that we have been fortunate to have. So now let's talk about some significant programs that are part of the Small Business Administration. Programs that we may not be aware of. We always think about, oh, well, they give loans. But there's far more to the Small Business Administration than the loan acquisition.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because we have various programs that we offer small businesses, but 3 of the main programs that we offer, that we call the 3 C's of SBA, is the loan program. And we provide loans to small business through our banking community, and so we work with a pool of lenders in each community. And the nice thing about getting an SBA loan is that the terms are longer, usually the rate is better, and most important, the small businesses have an opportunity to engage with our office as well. And so we guarantee those loans up to 80%, 90%, which can be a real benefit to a bank because they don't have the exposure of the entire line of credit or whatever that is going to be funded to the small businesses. And I just want to brag a little bit about Nueces County and the Lower Rio Grande Valley, which is this district here that consists of 14 counties. We've done really well. We have a new district director. Her name is Angela Burton, and our lending this year is up 70%. So we've done $73 million in SBA lending here in this market. and almost 187 loans were being provided to small businesses in this area. So that means 187 small businesses got a shot in the arm, and they got a line of credit, or they had a real estate loan where they built that big warehouse they wanted to, or they got accounts receivable. So that's very important to us small businesses as they grow and create more jobs. The other thing that we do well is federal contracting. And federal contracting is where small businesses are awarded a federal contract. And two things happen when a small business gets a federal contract. Number one, the revenue grows and jobs are created here in a community. And so that is something that we're very, very proud of. And we've done really, really well in the region. We did $7 billion worth of federal contracting in Region 6 for 2013. We don't have the numbers for 2014 because, as you know, we work with hundreds of federal agencies.
Right.
And the buying power right now each year, Dr. Garza, for federal contracting is $355 billion. $355 billion. And so for any small businesses that is out there that is interested in doing business with the government, they certainly need to call our office. And so I'm very, very proud of that. And just pulling back on the lending part, our region here, Region 6, we have record numbers also. We've done $2.8 billion worth of lending for SBA last year in that we granted small businesses loans. So we've done really, really well. This administration has really focused on working with lenders, training them and making sure they understand our lending programs as well as our federal contracting programs to make sure that small businesses get those opportunities. And just bragging about our administration, we've done $459 billion worth of federal contracts that have been awarded since the president took office. So that's $62 billion more than the last administration. And the reason we've done that is we've really focused on federal agencies as well, and we've partnered with them. We've engaged with the procurement offices and made sure that small businesses connected with them. And I'm very proud of that. You know, Texas did $4.2 billion in federal contracts. And I want to tell you that we're very fortunate. We have 36 military bases just in Texas alone. And I have the pleasure of working with all those military bases and making sure that then, and you know, I've been out to the Naval Air Station where you work, and we've engaged, and you really get it because you're out there and you're supporting this effort as well. So let me thank you for your leadership as well.
Well, thank you again. No, I think what's interesting is so many people think that small business is just the loaning aspect, but it's more than that. It's the creation of jobs. It's the aspect of getting contracts with the federal government to sustain themselves as well as to provide for the economy. So it's really grown. But you also mentioned the fact that the loans are guaranteed up to 80%. Now, and you said banks, and you having been a former banker are thrilled about that, right?
Yeah.
So why is this so important? As a former banker, why is that so important that somebody out there is saying this is guaranteed 80%?
Well, because banks don't have that exposure or that risk. I mean, there's always a risk factor involved when you lend money to an individual. I mean, the risk factor sometimes is very minimum, or sometimes it can be a little bit more depending on the structure of the loan. No loan is the same. And so by SBA saying we're guaranteeing 80%, 90% in some cases on our export international loans, then we're saying that if this loan for whatever reason is not paid its obligation to the bank, then we will pick up the loan volume or the loan balance, and then we take that and we liquidate that loan.
Okay. And when you say we, it's really the taxpayers' dollars that...
It actually is.
Right?
It actually is. But let me say something to you that we've worked very hard in this agency, and I'm very, very proud of. You know, our 7A program is our loan program. And that's our anchor loan.
Okay.
And it's working capital, it's real estate. And, you know, we've done such a good job working with lenders, training them, profiling, making sure that, we're putting the right structure on these loans, that program pays for itself. The taxpayers are not paying for that loan right now, that loan program.
You knew what my next question was going to be, so thank you on that.
Yes.
Do most banks welcome this? Having said that, there's so many out there.
Actually, I'm so glad you asked, because one of the things I did, I've been the regional administrator for almost 6 years, going on 7 years. And it's been exhilarating. It is just a phenomenal job. But one of the things that we were asked to do is to make sure that we got more lenders back into the fold. And so as I started as a regional administrator, when this administration went into office, we had banks that had failed. We had 800 jobs that were being lost each and every month. And we had banks that were not lending to small businesses. Okay. So there was no credit that was being available to small business. So what we did, we went to work. We went out and looked for banks, and we actually called on several banks. We reassured them that we were going to work with them, we were going to train them, we were going to answer their phone calls, give great customer service, and we brought 1,300 lenders back into the fold to start lending SBA loans. And I say we because it was across the country. It was not just Region 6.
All right. So basically there was a concern, active action plan, working together. And so now the lender plus the small business plus the taxpayer are seeing the fruits of their labor.
We actually are. And you can see it basically, Dr. Garza, in our employment rate. Our employment rate is at 5.5. That's got to be one of the lowest rates that we've had since 2007. Actually, it was at 4.2 last month, but several people are coming back into the fold to start looking for a job, so it's spurred up a little bit. But for the last 63 months, we've had job growth each and every month since the president took office. We've had 12.6 million jobs that have been added to our record as far as our administration and job creation. And I truly believe a lot of them have been created by small businesses.
Well, and I was reading that, and it said 80% last year. So that's a high number.
Yes, it is. It is.
It really is.
I didn't want to brag, but I'm glad you said it.
Well, I try to look at everything ahead. Now, because people are listening, and they might now at this point say, get a little excited and say, I'm going to go out there and try to do this. What is a key factor for a small business to succeed today? Besides getting that loan, besides doing all that, what is some advice that you would say to a small business? If you want to be successful, do the following.
Well, first, I always tell our small business to look at our website.
Okay.
And, I have the pleasure of being in a different city almost every week, sometimes on a daily basis. And, small businesses, this is a question that is asked all the time. And we've worked very, very hard for our website. It's www.sba.gov. And in there, you can actually put your zip code, and then it'll direct you to the district office or the Small Business Development Center. And we're sitting right here on the Small Business Development Center office, and there's 900 centers across the country that will focus on helping us small businesses, whether it's a startup or it's someone that wants to grow their business or that has issues that they want to get some counseling. And it's a proven fact that if small business get counsel by any kind of organization, they tend to stay in business longer and they tend to grow their business. So we want them to come to a center like the Del Mar College Small Business Development Center. And we're very, very fortunate that this center is highly, highly thought out throughout the country. It's done some amazing work. And, Dr. Escamilla has been very supportive to the small business community here.
Oh, wonderful. So basically, ask for assistance when you need it. Know that there's assistance on the website locally as well and within your region. So there's no reason not to be able to be successful, right?
There is no reason not to be.
All right. One of the things that I know that the agency is also working toward is collaboration between small business and large business. So how does that work?
Oh, thank you for asking that, because we're really proud of a program that was started about a year ago. And it's called the American Supplier Initiative. And the American Supplier Initiative is where we have big business talking to small business. Kind of like our federal agencies, they have the procurement portfolio that they can award federal contracts. If you think of a company like Toyota, or you think of a company like Dell, they have a procurement office, and what we want them to be thinking is to award these contracts to small businesses. And when they do award them, that they pay them within 15 days, because that helps their revenue, that helps their operation of their business. And so we're going out and calling on these major corporations, and we're saying, let's partner together. We have a portfolio of small businesses. We know where they are. We can get them connected to you, and that will increase your portfolio as far as procurement to award these contracts to small businesses. We do matchmaking events where we actually make corporation to small businesses. We actually did one in Houston several weeks ago, and we had 40 major corporations. And what's really neat about this, we've really taken off with this because we've done it in various industries. Like, there's the oil and gas industries, there's the technology industries, there's the construction industries, and we're getting very specific in targeting small businesses with the corporation that makes sense and they service. We're actually also working very closely with our manufacturing companies, and then with big business like Lockheed Martin that can certainly entertain helping a small business, and they're doing it already. We're just kind of putting this in place more effectively, and it's worked very, very well.
Well, that helps everyone, doesn't it?
It helps everyone. It creates jobs, and if we can focus where these corporations, and they're pretty committed to pay that small business within 15 days. That means a lot to a small business in a community.
Especially because they're operating from one revenue to another before they disperse. You mentioned something else when you said Toyota, and some of these companies are located internationally. So are there international types of partnerships that are also being developed besides?
Well, I will tell you that we have international partnerships with the Department of Commerce. SBA and the Department of Commerce are working very, very closely together, as I mentioned earlier, to promote small businesses and to make sure that small businesses understand that they can promote their product or service to another country. And the Department of Commerce has a program that it's called the Gold Key Program. And what they do is they take a small business, they look at their product or their service, they profile them with their portfolio as to what country that they can best promote their service or product, and then they connect those two together, actually make appointments for them, take care of their insurance that takes, if there is an account receivable prospect, they do the permits, they actually make appointments for them in the other country, and sometimes they even travel with them. And so this is all to promote jobs and to promote our small businesses. This has been extremely successful. And the other program that we have is the 3 loans that support a small business if they're interested in doing exports. You know, a lot of times when you have a major contract, it requires funding, it requires working capital. And the president was very focused on this, that he allocated 90%, as well as our administrator, 90% of the loans that are done by a bank are guaranteed by SBA on any type of an export loan.
I was listening because you said several key things I want to follow up on. Okay, Department of Commerce has a program, was it Gold Key or Gold Key?
Gold Key.
Okay, Gold Key. All right. And that's a partnership where they're partnering small business.
SBA, Department of Commerce, and the small business.
All right, together.
And we walk them through the process.
I heard that. Travel with them, do all of that. And the reason I say that is people that may be listening that already have a business that have probably thought about it and said, I don't know how to do this. How do they find out more about this program?
They call our office, the Small Business Administration office here in the local Corpus area, or they can call the Small Business Development Center. Any of the centers are very in tune to this program and understand it well and can give proper advice. Or they can call my office. I know my number, and you can. You know, my job is to serve small business. And I don't, shy away from anyone emailing me, so people can email me I welcome to hear from them. My email is yolanda.olivarez@sba.gov, or they can call me at my number in the office, which is 817-684-5580.
We'll make sure we put that so people can see it. And time is getting short, but I want to ask you one more question that you and I were talking about. You said there's funding for intellectual products?
I'm so glad you asked me, Dr. Garza. Yeah, we're really excited about this. This has been one of the best kept secrets of the agency. We've been doing this for a very long time. I mean, far before this administration, but we've really highlighted it. And what it's called is the Small Business Innovation Research. And we're working with 14 federal agencies like the Department of Defense, the Department of Agriculture, EPA. And what a small business can do, if they have an idea that can help the federal government, and the federal government, or help private industry in some way, and they just don't have the funding for it, or they want to get a patent for it, they can pitch this idea to SBA through the Small Business Innovation Research Program. And if the federal government thinks it's an idea that can be patented or can be taken to the lab, we will fund that idea for them. And it's a really cool thing. We actually it's grants that we award, and it's $2.5 billion that we do each and every year. And so this is an opportunity for a small business or a young entrepreneur that is listening right now, that is in college or a senior in high school that has this idea. They can certainly pitch it to the agency, and we can get them more information and how they can do that.
All right. And again, they can contact your office. No, okay. Because time is now very short. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience about Small Business Administration and what it can do to assist?
Well, there's one more other program that has been around since 1958, and I love this program. It's called the Small Business Investment Companies, and there's 300 in the United States. And these are licensed companies. They're called angel companies. And sometimes the small business has an idea as well, or has their business, and it's not thriving, but that idea is so good. And we have to encourage entrepreneurs, Dr. Garza. We just have to make sure that their ideas is getting out there, and this is how Apple was started. This is how things get started very small, but they can, people need encouragement. So what's important about this is they can actually pitch this idea to one of these investment companies, and that they will provide them equity to move this idea forward.
You and I could continue to talk
for a long time.
I know, and we'll make time to do that again, because it's really been interesting, and I thank you.
I thank you as well.
Well, this has been Dr. Mary Jane Garza with Education #1 Priority. I know I've learned a great deal, not only about what SBA is about, intellectual property, people are there to support. So search out, and you too look to see how your business or your idea could possibly grow even more. Thank you very much.